Linda Sosa,
Britt Hornsby.
Jennifer Davila.
And Leppanen. And we'll hold off on Spencer for about 3 minutes. Next is approval of Bluff Town Council meeting minutes of October 21st, 2025. Has everybody read them? Are there any changes, points of discussion?
Motion to approve Bluff Town meeting minutes of October 21st, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? 0. Second, approval of Bluff Town Council meeting minutes of October 28th, 2025. Has everybody read them? Are there any changes, any points of discussion?
Motion to approve Bluff Town Council special meeting minutes of October 28th, 2020.
Second.
If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's 4-0. Last, approval of Bluff Town Council public hearing minutes of October 28th, 2025. If everyone has read them, any corrections, any points of discussion?
Motion to approve Bluff Town Council public hearing minutes of October 28th, 2025.
Second.
Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's 4-0. It is 4:03. And I'd like to introduce Spencer Wade, who is our newly chosen victim. So thank you for stepping up. Really appreciate that both you and Barry Haas, both very good candidates. And I think everybody who listened heard a little bit about you and who you are and why you're here. So Linda Sosa, who's the reporter, will swear you in.
Okay, Sam. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Spencer Wade, having been elected or appointed to the office of Bluff Councilman.
I, Spencer Wade, having been appointed to office of Bluff Council Member,
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of Utah, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and the Constitution of the State of Utah, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
All right, so sign there. And get you.
Yay. Congratulations. So next is a discussion vote on Uncommon Architects invoice and bid of $950 for design additions of Cooperative Cultural Center. And Malia, are you covering that?
Sure. All right. So we had a meeting with the architects
A month ago.
August, September, and we decided, and we realized that the HVAC system was not included in the auditorium as well as the kitchen. And so we said, yes, let's extend that HVAC system into the auditorium, which is the old cafeteria and gymnasium. And so because that was supposed to be our last meeting, they said, yeah, we'll make these edits. But then the following week, they came back and said it's actually going to cost additional $5,000 in order for us to incorporate this. And I reached back out to Michelle of Uncommon Architects and I said, what? And she said, actually, I brought this down from $10,000 from the Resolute Engineering Group. And so I passed it over to Erin and she is so good. And she actually got it down to $1,950. And the reason that she determined that it was a reasonable cost was that we were incorporating a commercial ventilation system, is that correct, into that kitchen as well? And so it does require quite a bit more work.
So it'd be an increased load versus like a standard office. And so since we had originally talked about like, oh no, the auditorium will kind of stay the same, the kitchen will kind of stay the same. That's their reasoning as to why HVAC wasn't originally included in that area. So I think, the idea of kind of bringing down the cost, because I do think that this is something that the architects, really should have caught.
Because we were confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, a $1,900 adjustment on a $176,000 contract, I think is a reasonable solution to the problem and ultimately will deliver the needs of the HVAC system that we need.
We also felt that the $19,000 adjustment would be cheaper than it would be to have to fix the problem in the long run.
And to clarify, $1,900.
Yeah, 1,900, not 19,000, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So to have a turnkey plan certainly makes a lot of sense.
Just didn't notice that it was missing until the final walkthrough, and we were all shocked that it wasn't included. We were like, wait.
Yeah, and that's the exact purpose of having those final walkthroughs is to catch it before we actually have to do a change order in construction, which are tens of thousands of dollars usually.
So I just want to clarify, I believe that since we have this discussion back and forth, I have already signed the amendment to it so that we could keep moving rather than.
I thought we had already approved it. I was surprised to see it on the agenda, but.
Well, we had a little confusion. So
Do it again.
when Lee raised it, it was just like, I'm signing it. I would like to have us just ratified that it's appropriate. If we hadn't already approved it, we're approving it now.
Okay, motion to approve Uncommon Architects invoice and bid of $1,950 for design additions at the Cooperative Court.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We're back to 5-0. Yay, thank you, Spencer. You could have made this your headline and voted against it.
I was thinking about it. Felt pretty strongly about the AC.
I want to keep it with the small.
Yeah.
It's just the kitchen.
Then number 3 is a discussion and vote on Bluff Community Center Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant Extension to December 2026.
Yes. So this is the grant that is going to be our lighting retrofit in this building. And at this time, we have a waiver out with Buy America, Build America to hopefully decrease our cost. And in the interim, but since putting this application for waiver in and submitting for an extension, I have learned from our project officer that we don't actually need the Buy America, Build America waiver. We fall under a general waiver that is because our project is under $250,000. So I'm currently working with Ultralights to put together what the project officer requested. But because we thought this was going to be such a quick project, we only asked that our grant go through December of 25. Obviously, we're not going to hit that deadline. And so I have requested an extension through December of 26. I don't think it's going to last that long, but better to go ahead and get a full year of extension as opposed to every 6 months asking for an extension.
It's like you've done this before. Great job, Leah.
Thank you.
Great job.
Any questions, any discussion? I'll be really happy when that light quits hanging.
Oh, me too.
I just envision falling on somebody. Any more?
Anyone in particular? No, just kidding.
Motion to approve Bluff Community Center Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant Extension to December 2026.
Second.
If there's no further discussion, then all in favor say aye. 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 Anyone opposed? It's unanimous. And I really want to thank both of you because these grants have been like moving targets on the dates and the delays that aren't our fault. And you've done an amazing job of keeping the money alive. So,
Malia.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks, team.
Yeah.
She has done a wonderful job.
All right, number 4, discussion and vote on horse sculpture design and installation of Bluff Community Center future playground. So I see that Joe Paycheck's on here with you, Malia.
Correct. I received a text yesterday that Joe has requested that we postpone this. And he will let us know when he is ready. I apologize that this is the second time that I have said this at a meeting, but now you have some time back for tonight.
Thank you. Then number 5, discuss the need for ADA compliance officer and summarize Utah Local Government Trust webinar on ADA compliance. We talked a little bit about this, but Malia, when we were at the Utah League of Cities and Towns, went to the ADA compliance breakout session and was kind of stunned by what ADA compliance meant. And then the National League of Cities and Towns did an ADA compliance, although it could have been the Utah Local Government Trust.
It was national.
Thank you, on October 28th. And there are many things that everybody's out of compliance with, but because we're classified as a town, we don't have to have ours done this coming year. We will be a 2027 date for compliance, but the recommendation is to have a compliance officer, like we have a grammar officer, and we have a Malia's, here's a OSHA.
What do I have?
The safety. Yeah, the OSHA training for that. And so I think it's a good time to be discussing it so that when we get to 2026 and this council or the incoming council discusses specifically what duties will be assigned to Malia, or do we need to have somebody else pick up a few of these compliances? So our deadline is April 24th of 2027. All documents are not grandfathered in. I think I mentioned that before. So we're lucky that our incorporation is pretty recent. But I think that this is a fairly big discussion that we should have about, do you want to just push it off? And we don't have to do it right now. We can do it in the work session. But I'd like everybody at least to look at part of that webinar because it really is, one, kind of scary, but two, it really outlines some of the things we need to be doing. And so the question would be, does this council want to tackle looking at who's going to do compliance, or do you want to push it to January and let the new council have a discussion about whose job do you have to fall to, or do you need more staffing, which could tie to the probable need for amended budget for 2026 fiscal year.
Do you think that this would be a viable project for another intern to work on? Seems like, I mean, it seems like it might just be a lot of tedious. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but.
So I believe that we probably have a lot of documents in their original form that are somewhere in those emails. I think that the alternative text that is required for images, graphs, graphics, and things like that, those, we don't have that many, which is good, but the documents that do have them are extensive. So I'm naming the ATA plan, and our strategic plan. Those are pretty heavy. Items like that, it might be worth getting a quote from a third party to have those types of items brought into compliance. But then, yes, I think it's a very labor intensive, although achievable task to have someone at an hourly rate go through and just like update and move the items. Our main issue, and this is only for documents that we have like on our website or that we would have shared with the public electronically. So if someone was to come in and ask for a document, like a grammar requested document, we don't have to change over everything in our archives. But if they were to add for it in that, we would need to. So the main issues that I'm seeing on our website are the graphics and images, and then all of the items that were scanned in. So that would be pretty much the ordinances and resolutions that were scanned in. Since I've come on, I've tried to make everything PDF version, and you'll even see in like recent ordinances and resolutions, the PDF is scannable, but like the signature block is not. I just take like a picture. So I'd have to go in and update that is an image and describe what that image is. But a lot of the stuff we're starting to do already. So yes to both. And then I think we could just like draw the line in the sand and say, everything going forward will not go on the website unless it is compliant. So that means Malia and I need to be like fully versed in what is required. But then we could say, okay, we've got this clean line in the sand, and then we could have an hourly individual goal. I know that like having a third party do it is quite expensive. So we wouldn't want to just say, oh yeah, like free reign on our website. Like you need to do everything. That would be far too expensive. But I think we can identify some high level items that like we should get quotes on to just have someone else do it, because it is going to be so intensive. But summer intern or intern, yes.
I was gonna say, it doesn't even have to be a summer intern. I mean, we could fly an intern during the winter. I was thinking that particularly since in the winter, I know that everything kind of calms down, and there might be somebody who would like to have some kind of work for the 3 months that basically Bluff is closed.
I would also, the only thing I would caution about like an internship versus just like an hourly administrative assistant is I would want to build in some kind of career development for an intern, that it is not just like going through document by document by document. Like if we can find someone that they are looking for, you know, that in their future career, then that's great. Otherwise, maybe we post it as like it is just clerical work for, you know, an hourly wage, and don't necessarily market it as like an internship, but then I could apply. So that's my only thought on that. I feel like an internship program, we might, and we could, I mean, there are other projects that we could build in that would be more career development oriented, but maybe this one is just clerical.
I just felt like our intern stuff went so successfully this summer. We were able to really knock some stuff off of the to-do list.
Yeah, it was great.
Just by being able to specifically delegate it to somebody else.
What about the workforce? Contacting them and seeing if they have any suggestions. No, I know we talked before about how there is a program, or at least there has been in the past. I don't know how much it might have been cut, but where you get reimbursement for part of what you're paying out. And I know there are some restrictions, and
right. And part of our worry was that maybe government entities wouldn't call.
I know retail entities aren't.
And it was also, I mean, also that was it seemed like it was more for managerial type full-time roles rather than part-time work. I remember being disappointed with it when I was alert to it.
I think for the price that we would be wanting to pay for an hourly associate, it wouldn't meet the requirements. But I do think that we could structure it in such a way that, you know, we do this as like a temporary employment situation. Yeah. And I think the only other consideration bringing in anyone is that if there is the need or requirement to go through files, to go through documents, that are saved in a email inbox or are saved somewhere else, that confidentiality could come into play. Because essentially, if we were just saying, oh, hey, go through the website and make the list, and then we still have to do the search of the original files, that is still probably going to the mayor or to Linda. And so, we would just want to ensure that we would have a way to do that and not create extra work that doesn't already need to be there.
Give me some thoughts on whether you want to just think about this and talk about it again at the work session for 5 minutes and see what, because I think one of the first decisions really is going to be, do we want to try to bang this out before January 6th, or do we want to push it to January 6th and the new council?
My thoughts are that I would like to at least get it started before January 6th, because a lot of this relies on the two of you, and we lose you on January 6th. So I
am never coming back.
I wouldn't blame you, but but I'm just saying, I think that while we have the two of you still here, and Lou is still, everything's fresh in Lou's memory and things like that too. I think the three of you are crucial in a lot of these documents. So I would like to at least start working on it. Now, whether it's finished whether it's resolved or whatever, it won't be finished. But if it isn't resolved, at least if it's started, then we have something.
And all the stuff that everybody's gonna have to pick up with the new council, having something started much easier.
Right.
Right. To have push forward something already worked on. It was to another new task.
Okay.
Well, then we'd have an idea of how much it would cost as well, and whether or not, or how much we would need to amend the budget.
Yeah.
Between both having it done or having a clerk or
Well, we also might have a better idea. We might have a better idea of where our budget is looking, because we had anticipated a much larger. I know we have had a reduction in taxes, but I don't think it's been.
It's not been like 20%.
It's going to be. So
8 to 12.
And we're saving on litigation fees, which are substantial.
And no one's identified any kind of funding opportunity or grant or anything to help with it.
No unfunded mandate.
No, this is just another one of the 300 unfunded mandates that come down every year.
Such a lift.
I have a quick question. I didn't get to the end of the track. I had like 5 minutes left, and they were just about to talk about any writing on the wall of other changes to ADA stuff. Did they answer that there was anything else that they thought might be coming down the pipeline as we're moving through this? Okay, that's all. Okay. All right.
So I've been getting things from the state of bad records, and partly ADA, but partly also records. And we need to have a series number for our records, but unless I'm reading this wrong, the important ones are the non-public records. You need to have a series number that, to me, we have very few of those. We have things that are employee related. People can ask what someone's job is, their gender, how much they get paid an hour. That's it. And I'm assuming at this point that our litigation stuff is public. While we were except I'm assuming it's not quite totally finished, but what I'm saying is we have very few non-public records.
For the work session next week, could you put together kind of what a description of a non-public record would be so that we can add that to this discussion? Yeah.
Can we not add anything else to the work session? Can we just bang this out?
It would be, yeah, it would be nice. The next 2 months are going to be fun. So are we okay on this one for right now? Okay, then the update on the status of the Bluff Food Pantry, discussion of a need for standard operation procedures, and interim plan for food distribution. So, as everyone's aware, Jenny Burns is stepping back or has stepped back, and Malia Collins has taken over the scheduling piece and notifying volunteers. And that seems to all be going smoothly, with the exception of it's the same 20 volunteers all the time, and people are, going to start hitting the holidays, and it's going to start getting a little more iffy. We talked at a meeting with Jenny Burns and Malia, myself, and Bev Smith. So Bev and Jenny have those worksheets that Erin has to fill out, like if I'm not here, what happens, kind of thing. And they're working on that. And then Malia's been working on gathering standard operation procedures that the food pantry has been using. With that being said, I went back because I heard from one or two key people in the community that they did not feel that food pantry or food distribution was a government function, which I disagree with. But I also pulled our contract from the recovery funds and from the federal Department of the Treasury. Our compliance and reporting guidance is that we need to continue to be able to report on record-keeping requirements, financial documents for 5 years after all funds have been expended or returned to the Treasury. And the Treasury may request transfer of records of long-term value at the end of the period. So the records need to be collected, transmitted, and stored in open and machine readable formats. So there's a little bit of work to do with that. But in my mind, just doing away with any supervision or involvement in the food pantry leaves us open to this reporting period of not knowing that the records are being kept, that we're tracking the numbers with USDA, with Utah Food Bank. And I would really think that stabilizing things for a period of time, particularly in light of what we are now faced with, is a complete SNAP and WIC confluence. And so hopefully when Malia and I talked with everyone, it looked like Malia is spending 10 to 15 hours a month on this. There are some options to paying someone to assist with certain things. But right now, to get us through November and December, putting together what our procedures are and what they have been, and looking at how we beef up the food distribution here. So on Saturday, well, on Friday or Thursday, I met with Jed Lyman from Hole in the Rock Foundation. He's the president. I also talked with the directors at the fort, at the Bluff Fort. The Bluff Fort, because of their tax standing as nonprofit, they do not engage in contributing to the public good, money-wise or food-wise. Hole in the Rock Foundation, Mr. Lyman said he was unaware of any requests ever made to them, but he would take it to his board. And what we talked about was if his board wanted to make a contribution to the food pantry, it would not be in food, it would be in money, so that we could beef up for November. I went with Drew Cooper. We set up a meeting with Reverend Jack Chase out at the mission on Saturday. And the mission either today or tomorrow made a Sam's run with some money they had from the donors. Then Drew and Jack, myself, and Diane Ben were joined by Commissioner Jamie Harvey. And so we basically brainstormed around what is it going to look like for food shortage in November and December. Because on this one, I'm like totally a pessimist. Even if the fairy godmother waves a wand and says, you're up and running tomorrow, there's such a mess out there. It's going to take months, several months to recoup and get people back getting food. So I kind of worked on a long-term plan, but also a short-term plan of coordinating like getting us stabilized until the first of the year and figuring out how we get more food in and maybe not have so many, so few volunteers, try to get more volunteers. The mission also asked if we had any capability, the town has capability of younger people being able to unload if they get a big food shipment. And Drew said he was sure he could help collect a few people to help unload trucks. So that's kind of the picture of where we are. And I personally don't feel like this is a point in time where we can just say, well, the food pantry will run on its own and good luck. I think we still need some oversight, and I think we need the operating procedure set up. Recognizing that in the scope, we're going to have to, as a council, talk about what Malia's job duties are, what Erin's job duties are for management, and long-term, how does the food pantry function? I also talked with, because it was with Drew, Bluff Community Foundation, they think they can donate a little bit of money to help with covering some gaps. And the conversation from Utah Food Bank and the county is that we're going to get probably less food unless we can demonstrate an increase in numbers. They're going to cut back on food distribution. So they're saying go from 400 to 450.
Does it make sense to start doing drive-through again rather than pantry?
Well, that's part of the problem that I wish Jenny were here because she can explain it a lot better. The food pantry doesn't function legally under Utah Food Bank or USDA, but the distribution drive-through did, but they didn't like having two methods of distributing food, a drive-by and a pantry. So the committee had to choose the pantry over the food distribution because that was getting cut anyway. So right now, I don't think that that's an option, but it's certainly worth exploring. We did talk about a couple of other ideas, and I don't know if they tried it today or not, but was today a distribution day? Rather than hauling everything into the food pantry and volunteers unloading it and putting it on the shelves only to have the people sitting out here walking in and taking it off the shelves, or to set up tables and put some of the food on tables. So they're looking at ways, but any suggestions would be helpful. And
I'm just surprised that you said that they were cutting, since what I've been hearing on the news is the state of Utah just approved up to $4 billion in donations specifically to Utah Food Bank to help cover SNAP and WIC shortages. So
I don't have the figures right off the top of my head, but that's not going to, I know that will not begin to cover it.
right.
And so part of the problem is we went from 400, dropped down to 320, I think 330 in the last month. So our numbers weren't good. We also had a kaflooey where somebody sent food back. We don't send food back. We figure out what we're going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we got called out on that. We Bev and I, when we went out to get the 800 pounds of food that we brought in. So, hopefully we won't see, I wasn't here today to see what the distribution looked like, but Bev is probably the best one to tell whether we saw a cutback or not. The one thing that we really lack here is the protein. I mean, you can put all the garbanzo beans and lentils out and they're not going to move. And so the idea of somebody doing a Sam's trip and getting Spam or canned meats or canned stews. So, we'll just keep on talking, but I did want to just point out, I personally don't feel like this would be the time, and I certainly think you'd have to look at the compliance.
I need to understand a couple things just so I can ensure things are moving appropriately. So for any donations, physical donations, how are we processing those? Do those have a separate bank account, or are those moving in and out of our general checking account? Where are donations being made to?
There is a bank account that the food pantry has,
And whose name is it under?
Ginny Burns.
Okay. So to confirm, donations are not going to be made to the town of Bluff?
It will depend on who it's coming from, because donations can be made to the town of Bluff.
Okay. From an expenditure standpoint, I assume expenditures are only being made to purchase food to donate. Is that correct?
Yes.
At this time, we don't have any expenditures coming out of the town of Bluff expense accounts.
No.
In terms of inventory and assets associated with the food pantry, I know that would be perishable and fixed assets. Are there routine inventories taking place so we understand what is physically in the building at a set frequency?
Are you talking about the food inventory?
Food and the shelving and stuff like that.
The food pantry and the USDA, if they distribute, and Utah Food Pantry gives an itemized list of what's being donated every time they do a distribution. The shelving and the refrigeration all belongs to the town of Bluff. That was donated by Ginny Burns some months ago.
Okay, how do we account for what's being taken out?
The volunteers keep track of what, so people sign in, how many people are in the family. And then they're limited to whatever the amount is if you've got excess, or the restrictions to the number of people in the family.
Okay, so the small assets are under the town and were effectively part of like the lease agreement. I would assume that like the town owns the fridge and the shelving. Then the food inventory is itemized as it's coming in. Are they doing routine checks of what's still in there? And would that fall on the town books or not?
That's a good question and something we can talk about. But right now, let's see, it's pretty much the people who are here when the distribution is coming in, the drop-off days. So they know what's coming in and they know what's gone out, and they ask once a week from the Utah Food Pantry, food bank, what they need. So they know what they're getting.
Okay.
And records are being kept. And that's my concern, that's one of my concerns. If we were to just back off without having a structure, those records are not going to be kept. And we're not going to be able to report the long-term success of the food pantry.
Okay. And are the records being kept on site?
They are.
Okay. And then my last question is, and I think I already answered this. So because the volunteers are on town property using a town rented place, they are still covered by the town's liability insurance as volunteers for their time.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Can you share Ron's contact?
Yes. And I think I told you he responds really well to calls and texts. Hard to catch him in, but
I'm less concerned about the town taking over the food pantry as I am some other things, because I do feel like we have a good core volunteer staff to manage this. I feel like there's a good group of people doing it. I am concerned about adding more to Malia's plate. So I would like to explore the options in the future. I mean, obviously we're in the middle of a kind of an emergency situation, but if it's something that we determine that we're going to take over, I would like to explore the options of it having its own management staff. If that person is someone that reports to the town council once a month or whatever, fine. But I would like it to be its own position rather than adding extra work to our already overtaxed staff.
so
I
that,
don't know if that's a possibility even, but that's something that I would like to explore.
no, I think it's really worth exploring, which is why initially in my thinking, Bluff Community Foundation was the perfect setup. However, we all know right now, that it's not a functioning unit that we can shift it to. And so I think there are options. And that's why I wanted Malia to nail down kind of a ballpark of the number of hours she's spending. Like obviously if it's 10 to 15 hours a week, that is definitely not feasible, even on a 1 week short term.
Right.
But I think we really need to have that discussion.
I don't think it's bad to create more jobs in town either, so, you know.
It might be that the person who wants to do the intern for ADA compliance wants to have a few hours and cover this. And I know there's a couple people who would be very good at covering the heavy lifting of the twice a month food delivery, and particularly could use a little bit of money. So I mean, I think the resources are there. We just now have to think outside of the Ginny and Greg Burns box.
Yeah.
Incredible work by Jenny.
Yeah, I think it's an incredible asset and I don't want to lose it. I mean, I'm still sad that we have lost Park because it was an incredible asset for the town as well. So I would hate to see, the food pantry go the same direction.
Well, I think we have people in the community that could start a bar.
Well, she's pulling her hat very low over her eyes, so.
I mean, you got a good start, and there's a mama dog and a baby puppy out at the mission that are just adorable.
Very cute. So I think you guys are very generous because I think that's one of the ugliest dogs I've ever seen.
Oh, no.
She's very sweet, but I do not think she's.
Oh, she's adorable.
Oh,
Is she ugly cute?
maybe, I don't know. She's very small. It kind of reminds me of a hyena. She is very sweet.
She is very tiny and so affectionate. Malia.
I'm curious in this food pantry discussion, how much you want me to do at this time? Like, is this until the end of the year? Because if so, I'd like to probably host a volunteer training and get everybody's signatures. I was reading through the booklet this week, and there's a lot of things that are done right, but there's a couple of things that we're just missing. And
Like the waivers.
yeah, volunteer waivers, just basically, all right, do you guys want me to proceed and get us on track so that if the community foundation wants it, I can hand it off to them?
I think it's a good idea, considering that it's our liability, that we get everybody on track. And that we would trust that you would tell Erin or me or someone that, hey, this is not feasible for me to spend this time.
I was gonna say, is it in your
Prioritize.
wheelhouse to be able to do it, or is it something that one of the rest of us need to?
I mean, I can always use help. Sure.
You have that task, but
Yeah, I mean, I know that Bev Smith is really willing to work behind the scenes to take care of a lot of this. And so what she does not want to be is a part of a big group discussion and having to work for a group of people, but she's willing to do some of these things. So I think that's a good conversation you can have with Bev. And then if anyone on the council wants to step up, but I think right now in the short term, if we can get it, make sure that we're covered on everything and get it ready to pass off if we can.
But while the SNAP stuff is particularly ridiculous right now with the shutdown, they were already cut back dramatically. They're under that last budget, a big beautiful bill. So the need's going to be really bad now, but it'll be long term. So
I watched a video of somebody in a grocery store trying to use their last EBT benefits and having to return food because the $53 wouldn't cover what they needed. It's like, okay. So we'll keep working on it, and then Leo, you and I can touch base about what's feasible and what isn't for you to do. Looking at priorities, then number 7 is the update by the Bluff Dark Sky Committee on the Bluff Dark Sky Festival to be held November 14th and 15th, 2025. And I didn't know who to put down other than Diana, so I also threw in Sarah Barak in case.
She is unavailable. I just texted her, but she's here in spirit. Do I need to come closer, or you can get me from?
I think we can do, you just sit down or you can come closer, whichever.
All right, thank you very much for this time. So I am here on behalf of the organizing committee, which is the Business Owners of Bluff and Bears Ears Partnership. We have received support, and you'll see that hopefully you've seen some information about this upcoming festival. I have other supporters listed here. I do have the Town of Bluff, San Juan County Visitor Services, and the Bluff Community Foundation. So we're grateful to everyone there. Some of our supporters have been more volunteer and not cash-based. So, but I am grateful for every one of the supporters that we have. So just wanted to update you on the schedule. We have some new information, some new additions to the schedule. So currently on Friday at 6 o'clock, Kevin Schindler from the Lowell Observatory will be our keynote speaker. This will be after a welcome. Hopefully we can get perhaps our mayor to give a welcome, perhaps. We haven't been asked already. So Kevin will be talking about how astronomy is used in our daily lives. He is the historian and the public information officer at Lowell Observatory. So we're really happy that he's coming. On Saturday evening, the keynotes speakers are going to be Nancy Maryboy, Doctors Nancy Maryboy and David Begay. They're going to talk about Navajo constellations. They have a whole curriculum and a website called Sharing the Skies, and are very well known in this area. We also have an agreement with the Navajo storyteller on Saturday evening to tell Navajo winter stories. Both nights after the speakers, we're going to have a telescope walk. We will have at least a dozen telescopes. I think the count now is 14. Wow. So that has been managed by Bears Ears Partnership, and we're extremely grateful for that. That's been a bit challenging because with the shutdown, we were going to have telescope operators come from the National Park Service, and we have not been able to do that. They're at home, they're furloughed. But we had a company called Southwest Adventure Tours heard about our festival and is sending 4 over, and we have some additional telescope operators. So we should have a really good showing in our telescope walk. We will simultaneously be having constellation tours with green lasers. On Saturday, during the day, we have a number of family activities. So I should back up that this is for locals, people that are residents that live in Bluff. It's for the regional area as well. And we are hoping to also attract some out-of-town visitors that maybe would come for our arts festival or our balloon festival or just interested in the night sky. During the daytime, we have activities for the Little Dippers, as we're calling them. We will have a portable planetarium. There'll be a workshop to paint a space rock. We're going to have a workshop on making a planisphere, your own planisphere, and how to read a star chart. The Business Owners of Bluff are also arranging a scavenger hunt. At least 6 businesses will be involved in that. I believe the grand prize is going to be a set of binoculars and hopefully a tripod. So low tech, most people ought to be able to use that. So that should be exciting. Speakers for a more adult oriented, Jonathan Till is going to be talking about how the ancestral Puebloans won't be a night sky. It will be more daytime, but he's going to talk about how the Bluff Great House was aligned with the Twin Rocks and the Dance Plaza at certain times during the year. So we're excited to have him. Canyon Smokehouse, this is new information. Canyon Smokehouse has arranged for Paul Martini to have basically a one-man retrospective of his astrophotography that he's taken in and around Bluff. And he will be there to answer questions as to how he has created these marvelous images, single, stacked, lenses, cameras, settings, all of that good stuff. So congratulations to Canyon Smokehouse, and a big thanks to you and Paul Martini for doing that. Sarah Barak is going to make a presentation on how Bluff got its dark sky designation. This will also serve as an education event for the Bluff Dark Sky application for the yearly. This will be an event that we can include in that. So I think that is the lineup as
Solar scopes.
solar scopes. Sorry, thank you. Solar scopes. We will have solar scopes during the day on Saturday.
Cool.
You look at the sun. Right. We're having Bears Who's Partnership has a solar scope, and there's a gentleman coming from Zion, Stargazing Zion. It's a company over near Zion. And San Juan Visitor Services is sponsoring him to come. Okay, I think that personally is quite a little lineup here for basically a day and a half. So there have been a number of volunteers and groups that have, really worked hard on making this a great festival. As far as cash sources, okay. So this is a new festival, totally new. It's not like the Arts Festival or the Balloon Festival. So that means that we have to create awareness of the festival. And so that is accomplished via advertising. There are also travel expenses for some of our speakers to come. Most of the contributions, the cash contributions have come from the business owners of Bluff. Other groups have donated time. The Bluff Community Foundation has also made a small cash contribution as well. So what I would like to ask, we are tapping into the promotional funding that the town of Bluff gave the business owners of Bluff. We are definitely tapping into that. I don't want to spend all of that. We are probably halfway through. I think we've probably spent between $2,000 and $2,500 on that, but we still have that money needs to last us through the rest of the year to just get people, help get people to visit Bluff during the rest of the year. So what I'd like to ask is if the town of Bluff might be able to allocate some additional funding for this festival. And again, I want to just mention that this will go towards education and the outreach component for the dark sky application.
Thank you. Questions, thoughts?
How much?
Well, how much?
Erin, can you let it get, what is our dark sky?
Yes. So so as a reminder, so there was $5,000 allocated for the Bob community promotion, which is what Diane was just discussing. Sounds like $2,000 to $2,500 has already been spent. Hoping to get for the rest of the year. Dark Skies had the Dark Skies line item had $2,500 allocated for this year, and that was kind of like a broad reaching component that could have been like our retrofit stuff. Could be educational materials and things like that. We have not spent, I think it was like $150 or $200 so far, so minimal. And then there's also a $500 education and community promotion category, which I am hoping to get our brochures for dark sky compliance ready by the time that this event is taking place. But that is going to be maybe $200 to $300 that would probably come out of like education and promotion of the 500. So for dark skies, we really haven't spent all that much of the 2,500. So there is money available there.
How much are you looking for?
I would be very happy with $500 to $1,000, if you think that, any of that. This is for, where this is going is social media advertising, newspaper advertising, radio advertising, to primarily create awareness. And then there'll be a small amount that would go to offset, travel expenses. Lodging is all being provided by hotels. So all of these speakers, if we need 3 rooms, that's all being provided by the business owners of Bluff.
It seems to me that spending the money somehow is a good idea, clearly since we are benefiting from the dark sky designation. And that is a part of what we knew we would have to be doing, is having these types of things. I'm fine with 1,000.
Yeah, I'm fine with 1,000. I mean, sounds like a great event. I mean, and it's an awesome idea for a great shoulder season thing to do. And it celebrates all the hard work that everybody's done over the years to get the night sky where it is. So.
I do have one question. How are we doing on having open restaurants?
Well, we checked. So
We have one.
that Smokehouse is going to be open.
I am very well aware that Candy Smokehouse will be open 4 to 8 on Friday and Saturday night.
Thank you.
Cedar Shack is.
Okay.
4:30 to 8. I think is their new afternoon, 4:30 to 8 p.m.
So the bewitching hour here for the food is going to probably be around 5 to 6, because what we want to do is have the speakers for a couple of hours and then be outside from about 8 to 10. My understanding is that Russ is not totally confirmed. He was going to try to close around the 12th, is my understanding. Melanie reached out to him, so I can double check with him and just ask. Duke's is closed.
But if anyone else would like to make some suggestions to Russ that this might be a good weekend to be open.
I am actually going to dinner there as soon as we're done. And that is on my list of Russ. This is a way you can step up.
We've also looked at the possibility of having some food vendors here.
That's what I was wondering. Be nice on Saturday to have a truck or two or whatever. Questions? Anything else?
No, we need a motion.
Yes.
Motion to approve $1,000 for the Bluff what's it called? Sorry.
Bluff Dark Sky Festival.
Bluff Dark Sky Festival.
It's on the outside.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I do have one more item in relation to this. Matthias Schmidt, who is coming from the Zion's Place, is a wealth of information. He did a presentation at the Astrotourism conference that I went to. I would like to, and this weekend is incredibly busy for me, but I would like to figure out a way that we could have a joint business owners of Bob Town Council, both present and future, if they're willing to come, the two who aren't already with us, to listen to some of the benefits that astrotourism can bring to our community. Matthias does a great presentation. Don't know when to schedule that. So I had proposed of possibly hosting a brunch on Sunday, or maybe we could do something on Saturday. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Diana's like, no, but because Matthias is here Friday to Sunday was kind of my thought. And maybe it's something that we asked Matthias if he could do a Zoom with us at some other time as well. So maybe this doesn't work, but I just thought it would be a great kind of.
I'd have to hear.
He's a great speaker. And
one other thing, I'm happy to, and I think our committee would be fine with putting out, if we want to make an appeal for the food pantry or have jars or anything like that to try to get contributions. I think that would be fine to do that during this and make an appeal from the podium. as well as hopefully this won't still be going on in January, but if needed during the Balloon Festival as well.
And we have raised significant, well, there again, for Bark, we've raised significant amounts of money at Balloon Festival in the past for Bark. So I think that's a really
Awesome. Thank you. That's great.
Thank you.
So I just want to know, was anyone opposed to the motion? No, it's unanimous.
sorry.
That's okay. So last is discussion and vote to pay bills.
In your agenda package, you should have our accounts payable, accounts receivable report. Nothing really out of the norm. Unless you have questions.
Motion to pay the bill.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Unanimous? Any other?
Just a reminder of the Bears Ears Marathon taking place on Saturday, November 8th. We will see runners probably coming down Cow Canyon around 8:30. We don't have any formal road closures with the exception of 6th East Street between the highway and Mulberry, and that's just 6th. Yeah, 6th, just at the finish line intersection, just to prevent cars from going right into the finish line. We don't have any formal closures on Twin Rocks down to onto 7th onto Black Locust. However, I would highly advise that you please avoid that area if possible, or just take extreme caution as you're driving down. There's not road closure in Cow Canyon, but the officers are supposed to be patrolling between 8 and 2 when the event closes. And if anyone wants to volunteer, we still have lots of volunteer spots available. So reach out to me, get you scheduled. But we definitely, hope that this is the 3rd year. So hopefully Blanding has a pretty good idea. And then we kind of have an idea as to what's going on. So just be aware as you're driving on the eastern part of Bluff on Saturday between 8 and 2, please.
Also on Thursday, the 7th, where mainly is here.
Oh, is it the 7th? Like this Thursday. Wow. This is okay.
Mainly Marathon. I think it's Thursday.
It's Tuesday, the 11th.
Tuesday the 11th.
11th?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what it's 17. So much marathons.
Is that the town one that
Please.
just does laps around?
Yes, yeah, on the eastern side Bluff. So
And good reminder to the public to slow down. Stay off your phone, stay off your texting. There will be people, dogs, and kids. And thank you. All right, if there isn't any other, it is what time? 5:04 p.m.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?